Hello and welcome to Pitt Street Research. My name is Stuart Roberts and I'm one of the co-founders of our firm. And joining me today on the afternoon of Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2025, is Mr. James Marsh, who's the Managing Director of Zeotech, ASX ZEO. James, good afternoon.
Yeah, hello, Stuart. I'm actually CEO of Zeotech.
CEO, right.
Not
But
not MD. Yeah.
the boss and may I say the brains behind this project. James, there's nothing much about kaolin that you know that people don't know. I'm talking to a world authority on kaolin. Is that an exaggeration?
Well, I can honestly say that I spent 38 years working in life in I quote 59 countries in this mineral. So there's not much I haven't been involved with or done or seen in the business. So yeah, very broad knowledge of a what you might call a white dirt.
Right, and obviously we can see the picture of the mineral behind you. Zeotech's foundation project is the Toondoon Kaolin Project in Queensland. First of all, let's talk about kaolin. What is this mineral? What can it be used for?
Yeah, so kaolin's been around for a very long time. It's been used for thousands of years. It was used historically for porcelain ceramics back in China over 1,000 years ago. Um,
What we call China clay today.
Yeah, so China Clay, and I started my life working for English China Clay, which was the biggest commercial operation in the world for many years, back in Cornwall, UK. So yeah, it's been around a very long time. It's used in literally hundreds of applications. You use it every day without realizing it. It's in your paint, your ink, your clothes, your food, your car, your house, everywhere. But it's a ubiquitous mineral that's found around the world. But it's, in my experience, in all these years, I've never found one as pure as the one we found now at Toondoon.
Right. And Zeotech's been working on Toondoon for a number of years. Where it's coming to is a product called OzPoz, which is pozzolan. Now, for those of us not familiar with the cement and concrete industry, what is pozzolan?
Yeah, so Pozzolan is named after an Italian place called Pozzolania, in which where it's where it was first used in Roman concrete. So they realized, the Romans, that if they put this into concrete, they would have concrete that would last for, well, it lasted 2,000 years. So
Right.
it was named after that. So what it is, it's a reactive material that when you put it into concrete or anywhere where you've got cement, in fact, it will react with the cement, and it will give certain benefits in durability, strength, other performance gains. So it's been around a long time, but it's only been used historically for probably 30, 40 years to give much better quality concrete, because it's been too expensive to use in any great amount. It's only in recent times that the advent of decarbonisation that people have realised, well, pozzolan or metakaolin that we have is a very low carbon material that can replace cement. So you can get the benefits of all these performance improvements along with decarbonisation. And the problem has been it's too expensive, but we can make it economically, and we can actually match cement prices. So for us, I don't know anywhere else in the world this can be done. After making this in 4 different countries, never got anywhere near the price of cement, but we can do it, and that's thanks to the quality and the purity of the Toondoon Kaolin.
Right. So suddenly, low carbon concrete is a thing with one of the most purest metakaolin deposits in the world. What's the pathway to commercializing Toondoon to make this dream a reality?
So our pathway at the moment is we've got an agreement, a binding offtake agreement signed for our raw ore. That's because it's so pure, and we can get much higher price for it in the market than you could normally. So that will be shipped over to China. We've got a contract there for 5 years worth about almost $200 million. So that's going to start relatively quickly. That'll be Q1 next year. We'll get the mine built, the roads upgraded, and so on. Very simple, straightforward business. It's just easy dry mining, stripped out the ground and trucked down to the port about 200 k's away and sold FOB. So that's the first milestone we're going to
And
tick off.
that's port of, I've written it down, Bundaberg, I think is where you ship from, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. We're very lucky, in fact, that this resource is located close to a port, a deep water port that's underutilized and fully equipped with bulk mineral loading equipment that's also not used hardly at all at the moment. So we're very lucky we've got everything in place to do that. So that can start quickly. Then we are looking at building our own calcination plant at the port. We've got some land allocated to us, 8 hectares, where we will build a calcination unit. There we will convert the kaolin to metakaolin, and metakaolin is the pozzolan that we mentioned earlier.
Right.
It's got to be roasted at 750 degrees centigrade, which is about half the temperature of cement. Then it becomes metakaolin. That'll produce, train one will produce about 300,000 tons a year, which we can comfortably sell all in Australia and on the east coast of Australia. Then the plan will be to look at expanding to maybe a train two or even more, based on our resource.
This is a reasonably long life resource. We're talking about 20 years on in terms of the PFS work that was done with fairly modest capital costs. How can you get away with getting up and running so cheaply?
Well, we've kept it very, very simple, and this is due to the fact that, as I mentioned before, I've been involved in making this in 4 different countries, and it's usually over-engineered. It's usually produced, metakaolin is produced for all sorts of applications, not just for concrete. So it's usually over-engineered, it's expensive, it needs refining. That's high cost, energy intensive process. Our material doesn't need any refining at all. Our kaolin is so pure that it comes straight out the ground and into the kiln. So we keep this extremely simple. The process flow sheet is about as simple as you can possibly get. That's got the benefits of making it very low carbon. So the carbon footprint is crucial there, but super high performance. So you couldn't get any high performance anywhere in the world, even with a highly refined feed. And also the cost is minimized. So that keeps the capex very low. We also have the early cash flow coming from the DSO raw ore business. So that reduces the capital intensity quite significantly upfront, because we're talking about $12 million a year from year one of EBITDA on that.
It's nice work if you can get it, and you've got it. And the kaolin deposit sits fairly close to the surface, so the actual mining is not too complicated in that respect.
Exceptionally simple. We've got 2 meters of overburden, which is actually bauxite, and we could sell that bauxite. We've got someone who wants to buy it, so we could sell the overburden. We're not going to do that right away. We're going to stockpile that and possibly sell that in the future as a bauxite product. So 2 meters, and then we're into the kaolin ore body itself, which goes down. We've drilled it down to about 30 meters of the ore, which is good, but there's still probably another 20, 30 below that we can potentially use that we haven't even got to yet.
Yeah, good times. In terms of risks to the project, obviously pricing for any commodity-based businesses like that, we've got a premium product that you'll be selling in metakaolin. But what other risks do you perceive with this project between now and when it gets up and running?
Well, we're also very lucky that we have a product that is very, very low risk, because we have a domestic market that can take probably 10 times what we can ever produce. So that means that we have all of our sales will be for the AusPos will be potentially within Australia. So there's no geopolitical issues that we have to be worried about. There's no shipping or fuel issues with transporting on the ocean. So that means that the main risks are now removed. And so, I joined the project on the basis that I looked at what we had and realized that we had a mining lease in place. We owned the land freehold. We've got native titles extinguished. We've got a huge domestic market. And domestic market doesn't just want this product, they actually need this product. So when you weigh it all up, the risks associated with this are extremely minimal. Apart from having some unforeseen major weather event that wipes out part of Queensland, no, there's no real hurdle in our way.
No, that never happens. Queensland is beautiful one day and perfect the next, as we both know. And in terms of the power input for the calcination process down at Bundaberg, are we at risk of any power prices there, or is that a relatively minuscule part of the operating cost?
So in a pre-feasibility study, we use natural gas because that's something we could rely on. We had very accurate data for, and we could use that, but it's very expensive. So it's the highest cost option, and we don't actually need to use natural gas. So because we're only calcining at 750 degrees centigrade, there's lots of options available to us. So we can use green waste, we can use wood chips. There's biogas projects nearby. So we're looking at carving out a huge amount of cost from the project by changing the fuel source. And there's work going on in our definitive feasibility study now to progress that aspect. because that won't just reduce the cost considerably, it'll also reduce the carbon footprint. If we use biogas or something like that, then we could even get down to negative carbon. So that'll be another big step forward for us.
All sorts of technologies look good on the bench scale. You're now way beyond the bench. Site at Caboolture in southern Queensland, you've used 8 tons of product and shown that you could produce this thing at more or less commercial scale. Is that an exaggeration?
No, not at all. That's 17 truckloads of concrete. So that's big enough to demonstrate it absolutely thoroughly that it works at the commercial scale. Very important to demonstrate that because lab work is useful and it gives you the basis and the data to go forward. But until you've tested your project at the industrial scale, you don't know what's going to happen because lab testing is very controlled. So every aspect of that is controlled and carefully monitored. But once it gets out in the open into an industrial application, a demonstration like this, so many things can go wrong. There's lots of variables. There's the people who are mixing it. There's trucks. If they get stopped or started, the wind's blowing, the sun's out. So very testing conditions. But we can honestly say that it went exceptionally well. In fact, beyond our best expectations. Every single truckload was great. It pumped well, it handled well, it flowed well, and everybody who was there was suitably impressed.
Right. I suspect some champagne flowed as well as the product we're commercializing here. This sounds like a great day. Looking forward, obviously AusPos is and the raw product are the two foundation products coming out of Toondoon. Are there other things we can do with this as the project moves forward?
Yep, so we can. So our Horizon One, where we've got the DSO raw, that'll start going very soon, and that will make us lots of money, and that will grow. Now, part of that business is cosmetic kaolin, which is we are selling 10,000 tons of that in year one, but that's going up 10,000 tons per year. Very high margin into cosmetics. That's going to the Chinese market that could take very large amounts of that. So that could grow. Some very high value business there. Domestically, we're going to be looking at with our base price for tier one, we're looking around about $300 a ton for the product and still making good money with that. Well, it's actually imported now into Australia from producers in Europe and China and sold for up to $2,000 a ton. So we can mop up all that business in Australia. That's all Horizon One. What we call Horizon Two is our zeolite business. So we can then take the AusPos and convert that to zeolite, which is a process we have some IP on that process. Zeolite mineral, we have IP on the process to use that in landfill sites. And this can be put down in about a 2 centimeter layer over landfill sites and absorb up to 90% of the methane. So that is another potentially very high value process for us and a product for us because that can be used on probably hundreds or even thousands of landfill sites that are too small to be capped and flared off. So we are planning to do a commercial scale trials with that in the near future and prove up that on the commercial scale. And then Horizon 2, then we'll look at how we can actually move forward into producing that product commercially.
Now, of course, the sky's the limit with zeolite. Industry is using a lot more of it because it's such a great heat sink, right? It can soak up a lot of stuff and therefore take the temperature down in a lot of things like dishwashers and so forth.
Yeah, there are applications there, but we've been working on this landfill one, which is probably a much better opportunity. No, when you talk about methane emissions, 90% of methane emissions, we can take that out just by our material just eats it. That's about 80 or 90 times worse warming factor than carbon dioxide. So the actual financial return on removing that methane is huge, absolutely massive.
Right. Well, there's some new research out from Pitt Street Research commissioned by Zeotech on the multiple upsides coming from Toondoon and the other work that the company's done over the years. James Marsh, well done to you and your team for getting it this far, because it looks like from here some very interesting things are going to happen. And for those investors with an ESG angle to the way they invest, they really ought to look at this thing because you're doing a lot of good for the environment.
Well, yeah, we can take our train one can extract about 230,000 tons or eliminate that 230,000 tons of CO2 production per year. That's just train one. That's equivalent to taking off about 60,000 cars off the road or planting 3.5 million trees per year for 10 years. So we can do a lot of good, and we can also make a lot of money in the process. So it's definitely a win-win there.
Right. Investors need to take a look at this one because on our numbers, there's still plenty of upside. James Marsh, thank you for joining Pitt Street Research.
Thank you, Stuart.